Hi there. My name is Sam Jacob, and I am a PhD student in special education at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I'm sorry I can't be there with you all in person, but I am excited to share a fun, culturally sustaining, inclusive lesson that I co-created with a student named Jenny, who I was tutoring a few years ago. We called the lesson, What's Your Sign? Using astrology to deeply analyze fiction characters. Today I'm going to share how I drew upon Jenny's interests and funds of knowledge to craft individualized literacy instruction. In early 2020, I began tutoring Jenny as a way to make some extra money while I was earning my master's degree. Shortly after Jenny and I started to work together, the COVID-19 lockdown began and quickly changed the way we thought about schooling. Concerned about remote learning, Jenny's mother asked for me to work with her 5 to 6 days a week. We began a practice of shared reading, in which we would take turns reading a few paragraphs each, pausing when necessary to start a conversation about the text. Sometimes I would assign a chapter for Jenny to finish as homework, so we could begin the following session with a discussion about what we read. We both grew fond of this practice, and our rich conversations opened opportunities for us to learn about each other as individuals. Needless to say, Jenny and I formed a close relationship around our love of learning. I was able to lean into her youth culture. I knew what she was reading in school, which influencers she was following on TikTok, who her favorite and least favorite politicians were, and most importantly for this story, I knew her astrological star chart. One of the topics that Jenny and I connected through the most was our shared interest in astrology and being able to ascribe the synchronicities of the world onto the stars. During her holiday break in the winter of 2020, Jenny chose to read the book I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith. The novel follows a penniless bohemian family living in a run-down castle in the English countryside in the 1930s. At first, we were excited to read this book, but found the narrator to be irritating and our enthusiasm waned. There was one character that continued to amuse us, Topaz. She struck Jenny and I because of her eccentric worldview and colorful personal life. One day, after reading about Topaz's eccentricity, Jenny stated, "Topaz must be a Libra," with an eye roll. As a Libra myself, I felt lightheartedly defensive. "What makes you say that?" I asked. As a Sagittarius, Jenny spoke her mind without a coat of sugar. "Well, she's had 2 husbands and she's a nude model. That's a bit vain, like a Libra." She had a point. And thus began our new novel project, inferring the astrological signs of the main characters of I Capture the Castle. In this instance, I embraced Jenny's curiosity about the character that she was analyzing and her knowledge of astrology, which was a component of her identity. After this conversation, we shifted our engagement with the book and decided to focus on each character's astrological sign, using evidence from both the text and online research about the zodiac signs to support our decisions. In order to foster a collaborative structure for our new endeavors, I used Google Docs and our Gmail accounts to create a space where we could work collectively. I uploaded a PDF version of the novel onto Google Drive and shared it with Jenny, so she and I could make comments on the same digital version of the book. We continued to read the text in our shared reading style, sometimes together, sometimes aloud, and sometimes independently. This structure encouraged fluidity, where we could easily move between reading together, reading independently, writing notes independently, and co-note taking. In this way, I was able to use Jenny's youth culture and social culture to sustain her ownership of and investment in this literacy work. One way that I encouraged Jenny's academic growth was by showing her how to create an organized note-taking system as she read. This would support her in creating a final demonstration of her knowledge. I created a note catcher on a shared Google Doc that we could both add to as we read. While we were reading, we would pause when we saw evidence of a character's trait developing, or if a previously recognized trait was being confirmed or contradicted. We would add details to our note catcher, including quotes and page numbers, so that we could go back for future reference. Another layer to this literacy practice was the cross-referencing to verify our inferences about the character's astrological signs with evidence. While we were familiar with some aspects of the 12 signs, this process required Jenny to do more research about the characteristics of each zodiac sign, so we could match each character with the appropriate sign. In the end, we weren't able to confirm most of our inferences because birth dates were not mentioned in the text, but we were able to bring excitement and joy into our reading practice. When we finished reading the novel, I let Jenny choose how she wanted to present the character analysis. She chose to make a Google Slides essay that allowed her to combine text and imagery. In Google Slides essays, the students can use each slide to write one paragraph and add visuals that support their thinking. I find that when the paragraphs are broken up in this way, it seems less daunting and more inviting than a traditional 5-paragraph essay, while measuring the same skills. Jenny and I created the original chapter that this presentation is based off of together. And when we were finished, we came up with some ideas for you to use in your practice. We thought that you might be able to make this lesson an opinion essay, an informational essay, or a discussion-based seminar. I acknowledge that my experience with Jenny was unique. We were given an uncommon opportunity to build a meaningful relationship because of the global shift to move online during the pandemic. Additionally, not every student we encounter will be interested in astrology. However, this story demonstrates the transformative power of relationship building with our students. In this example, the more I learned about Jenny, the less of a hierarchy was present during our learning together, as she became a co-contributor to the type of learning that she wanted to experience. Thank you for listening to our story today.